Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, they are in the chat. It's about time for you to reconnect. Power of the week, some type of contact. Working on the us so we can hit up what's next. It's that grown brother, grown, different type of flex. More like soul check, not just collecting checks. Fact, not feelings is what we got on deck. Take the high road, so this here is high tech. Getting to the real, everything that we hitting on. Pull up or sit down, tell me what you sipping on. Reclaiming kinghood, that is what we getting on. Real headlines is what we spitting on. So, hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a second to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a second to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Have a conversation. Hey, let's have a conversation. Have a conversation. Have a conversation.
Hello, everybody. We are the Real Bravado Network, and this is our streaming show called Have the Conversation. We will be launching our official launch date for our weekly Have the Conversation platform show in about 3 weeks. But today, the world is talking about one thing and one thing only, and that's what went down between Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars. But I got a couple friends here that I'm going to bring on. We're going to talk about it. Before we get there, I want to talk about something before we get to the topic, and that is our image, our Black cultural image. And a lot of times we talk about stuff and we really don't define it. So let me define what image is. And the definition is actually coming from the actual dictionary definition. An image is a picture in your mind or an idea of how someone or of something, the way that something or someone is thought of by other people. Image, our cultural image. So a lot of times when we're discussing like Black issues, whether it be what's going on with our relationship with the policing, our relationship with each other, family, marriage, we really don't tackle it from the perspective of our image. When we as Black people are addressing issues, we need to think about it in terms of our community and our cultural image. And those are things that we really don't take a whole lot of time to think about. Much of what happens to us, not just Black folks, but people in general, is determined by their cultural collective image. How people talk to you, how our jobs treat you, or even they promote you, who they determine to be good leaders can also be determined by your cultural image, and how the general society at large interacts with us. It all is determined by our image, how people see and view us, okay? Like during Reconstruction and the Civil Rights Movement, we were seeing our cultural image was very important to us. We wanted to be seen as full Americans, as full men, as full women, and that we had value. So let me ask you a question. How does what happened with Will Smith and Chris Rock continues to impact our cultural image? I'm going to bring on a couple friends. We're going to talk about that. All right, Mr. Freeman, Miss Franklin, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Great. All right, welcome to Have the Conversation. Is you guys can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
You can hear good. I'm gonna have to turn you down a little bit over here because it's like screaming over here.
Right.
But that's okay. We build it. That's what they say. We build it while we fly it, right?
Right.
Okay. Listen, the hot topic today is what went down between Chris Rock and Will Smith at the Oscars. Um, but what I want to talk about first, we'll get into it specifically about what they did. I'm going to actually show the clip to you guys and get your intake. But one thing I wanted to talk about first is, um, and this is a question to Miss Franklin first. When you saw this go down between those two, were you concerned about how that would look on us as Black people?
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you should talk about image because uh, growing up, my sisters and I, we were Miss Marshall's daughters, right? So
Hmm.
my mom was in the mission at church, and my grandmother was one of the mothers, and my great grandmother was a mother, right? So this whole image thing was always very important. And pretty much Will Smith has always been looked upon as, of course, one of the greatest actors of all time. And I think people held him in high regard. But I do think, though, some of his what's the word I want to use? How people view him has diminished a little bit over the years because of his personal life. Just from conversations that I hear amongst like friends and some things you see on Facebook. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I was a little bit concerned about what this would look like for African Americans, because you know how white folks are. First thing they're gonna say, "There they go again." You know, you can't take them anywhere. They're always acting up. So yes.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, and one thing about Will Smith is the fact that one thing that we've never really had to be concerned about was his image. And I was sitting around talking early there, trying to figure out when have I ever seen not his wife, but Will involved in anything controversial. And as a Black man, and thinking about our image, the people that usually we want to hold out as good standards, one, are our pastors. We want to make sure that they got a good cultural image, that they're acting appropriately in public, but also to any of our brothers who ascend to some kind of position of I don't want to say notoriety, but of of public, that the public knows who they are at large. And there's a couple guys that kind of fit in that category: Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Barack Obama. They all fit into this mode of what I think we should be aspiring to hold ourselves out to be. Not to say that these men aren't perfect or that they don't have their personality quirks like the rest of us do, but you know, there's some those men are people to be proud of. Okay. And so yeah, this was really concerning to me when I saw a Black man going up on stage and slapping another Black man on in front of. It's one thing if it happens like out on the street or in private or in our real life, but this happened in front of the country. David, what did you think about it when you saw it the first time?
I had a bunch of mixed emotions. I mean, my first reaction was Will Smith was in order to set that man straight for talking about his wife. But then it's so many layers to it because there's a time and a place for that too. But and also as far as the image of us as a group as a group of people, when I seen it, I was like, oh boy, the Oscars segregated again. You won't see another brother in there. You won't see another brother or sister in there for like another 3 decades. That was the social image to it. But him going up there setting him straight because sometimes you can't say things about your woman. I was happy that someone expressed themselves in protecting our women, our melanated women. I was like that image needs to be out there of a Black woman being protected. And we had talked previously about the role that Jada played in it, but I'm not going to jump ahead because let you stay with the pace of your show. But I had so many emotions. My first emotion was like, yeah, you can't just say anything to anybody. Sometimes you got to know when to say things. But then I was like, oh my God, he shouldn't have slapped him on the Oscars. I mean, we just got there, but but then
kicked out. We just got there.
Well, we just got there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I don't know if this is right or not, but from what I heard it was a predominantly black production. All the production assistants, the directors, and all that stuff. For the first time, the show was written by people of color. And then what was lost on this is that Will Smith won best actor.
Yeah, he was still a character.
Yeah,
he was still a character.
But you know what else I thought about, you guys? I remember watching The Kings of Comedy, right? And Steve Harvey roasted this guy so bad. He talked about his
the dude in the front seat with that coat.
Yes, and then he was asking the guy if he was in what was he did, and he said IT, and he roasted him on that. So can you imagine what would have happened if that guy would have got out of his seat, tried to even make his way to the stage, let alone get on the stage and slap Steve Harvey?
I know, and especially during that time, because believe it or not, that Kings of Comedy tour was a historic making thing because they've never had African American comedians sell out arenas until that happened. So like, Kevin Hart and all these guys, even Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, they're selling out arenas now, but Steve and DL and Bernie and Cedric, they did that first. You know what I mean? So just imagine if something would have jumped off at one of those events, would we have large arena shows and stuff like that to happen? Yeah, I know what, I don't want to beat a dead horse because I do want to get to the question that David alluded to earlier today, which is, and I guess I'll prelude this. I'm not sure if this was a question about about protecting a black woman. I know that's been one line spun about it, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I want to show you guys real quick, just for people who've been living on the rock who didn't see it, what happened. Here we go.
Chris Rock.
Square Terminal is an all-in-one credit card machine. It's built from the ground up entirely by Square.
So of course they got to.
Takes every form of
you still got to get the advertisement.
Oh wow! Will Smith.
Now, the first thing I thought when I saw that, I thought that was like part of the show. You know what I mean? But then I watched it over and over again. I think I was most like everybody else, kind of stunned, because this is a completely out of character from what we think this man is about.
Right. I was totally shocked. I thought it was part of the show, but then Ray Chris Rock kind of rocked a little bit, and then he stepped back. I mean, like, he really hit him. He turned the hips and everything. He put everything into that, and then like I said, I was like, okay, watch what you say to people, But they let Chris Rock keep going. So then I was like, is this part of the show? Because usually after something like that happens, they go straight to commercial. So like I said, I had a whole bunch of emotions about that. But yeah. I mean, it was wild. I did not expect it. I thought it was part of the act at first. I really did. Until he rotated his hips and he followed through with the slap. I was like, that's a real slap right there. And then they kept letting him play, and Chris Rock kind of played it off good. And I don't know.
There's a couple things that come to my mind one is. We're used to people being roasted, if you will, right?
Yes.
When there's settings like this. So it's not the first time that it has happened. And I would imagine that it hasn't always felt good. So what made this situation so different? Was it because it's kind of like a health thing for Jada? I'm just trying to understand.
And that's where my next question comes in at. I know there's been a lot of talk about the fact that there's a perspective that people are proud of what Will did because they said that he was defending his wife. And then I went and looked at the joke, and I'm trying to figure out where in this joke that Jada needed to be defended. I'm a little bit lost on that. David, you took the perspective that he did stand up for, for a melanated sister. So, so I'm just trying to figure out, maybe you can educate me, where in this was the defense of Jada appropriate?
Okay, I see. This is when I say that statement of the image of a black woman being protected, a melanated woman being protected. I'm thinking along the lines that like you're thinking, TJ, that our image has been scarred over years. Like when the police kill us, they overkill us. You know, when we get time, we get overtime.
Overkill.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, not overtime at work, like we're gonna get paid, but we're gonna be there a minute. I mean, when we get fired from the job, there's a big spectacle with it. I mean, a white one, for like a better word, can say one thing about a black man, and they send the whole forces. I'm like, and someone will get hurt in the world, an image of the world. Every other race is overprotected, but we're not protected at all. Okay, in any form or fashion, especially our women. Now, you touch a white woman, and I don't know if you want to go that direction with this show, but you touch a white woman, there's some consequences. I mean, Bill Cosby serving the rest of his life right now over words of some things that happened in the past. I mean, there's people being arrested. Karens. Karen, they got their own hit albums out. Karen's just calling on black people, just a white woman's word. Now, if you look at it from that perspective, a black man goes up and slaps the living potato salad out of somebody for even cracking a joke on a black woman. I think it's healthy for that image to be out there. Now, to answer your question, in far of where did she need to be protected? No, she didn't need to be protected in that sense. No, because the joke wasn't all that. It was a good joke. I actually thought that she was really about to do the movie. I thought it was about to be our G.I. Jane Part 2. See, because she's a star. And when I first looked at her, okay, she got her hair shaved, they working on the movie. Then all of a sudden, he gets slapped. So I was like, okay, that's a little out of pocket. But to answer your question, no, the joke wasn't that bad. I mean, Chris Rock, everybody know Chris Rock gonna crack on you. The comedian's gonna crack on you. I don't feel like he needs to go up and hit in that perspective. But if we talk about the image in society of our people being protected, especially our women, yeah, somebody need to go overboard.
Yeah.
To
So
let
David,
people know.
David, you a comedian. So from an art standpoint, we all know that in the world of comedy, there's not much that is off limits. So are we saying now that anything in the comedy world that says anything about I'm not sure what he said that was so bad, but you're saying anything about a black woman is now off limits? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, in that situation, as a comedian, you see somebody in the audience. See, I feel like Chris Rock cracked that joke because they have personal history and felt like he could say that to her. You know what I'm saying? To that family. See, and as a comedian, you see something, you can tell if someone's putting on their best. Let's say somebody got on like, ma'am, I forgot your name. You was talking about Steve Harvey.
Oh, Arminta.
Arminta mentioned that Steve Harvey talked about a person with a jacket on. Now, you know that person, that's their best jacket in the closet. You're going to give them some shine. You see what I'm saying? So they can say, yeah, Steve Harvey cracked on me, man, on my jacket. And he gets a little shine from that.
Right.
A comedian's going to do that for you. He gonna say, man, you got on your you got your Union First jacket on tonight, and stand up, let them see that thing, boy. You ready? And everybody get into it. That's giving somebody some shine. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes, like if you crack a joke on someone and you sit there a little bit upset, you circle back. You circle back and be like, yo, man, it's all out of love. I love you. You see what I'm saying? He didn't circle back for the simple reason I felt like he has a relationship with them. From a comedian perspective, I felt like, it wasn't a joke to the point where, he's trying to call out Jada on some health issues and everything. And in the world of comedy, you know what? If a comedian call you out on something, it's actually a compliment because you don't want to be ignored in this world. It's fair game. We talk about everything. And it's tasteful. We try to be tasteful to put light on people. But
when I look at two black men like Chris Rock and Will, I would have rather him just let it go at that moment and then backstage say, hey, man, that what you said really offended my wife. Can you not do that again? Those kind of off color um, jokes, it didn't make her feel good because I think it did tarnish the image of the black male in some ways, and from a personal standpoint, I'm real big on I don't like public scenes. I don't like public embarrassments. All right. So probably had that been my husband, I would have said, no, baby, let's handle this after the show. I would not have wanted him to walk up on that stage and hit him. But that's, that's me and how even like when I was raising my daughters up.
And that's kind of where I was getting to when I was talking about, I'm not sure if this was completely about protecting a black woman or protecting his wife, because the David, as you admitted, the joke was kind of benign. It was a kind of a benign throwaway joke, and most people don't even remember the movie G.I. Jane with Demi Moore. Most people don't remember that. So that led me to believe, speaking of, you say keeping things in private, and I'm not gonna try to drag Jada too bad. I mean, I might do it in when people ain't listening, but this lady has, over the last 4 to 5 years, has been one of the most in my opinion, been one of the most disrespectful, vile wives I've ever come across, because this woman has publicly dragged her husband in a way that I just found just completely and utterly shocking. You know what I mean? She has what we consider to be, she has one of the good ones, and she decided to go on her platform and talk bad about the man can't put it down in the bedroom like she wanted. She, talked about, always constantly comparing him to Tupac and, just everything under the sun, and then turn around and have an affair with a teenage boy. My thought was, how much more can one man sustain when it's one thing when you got society try to drag you down, and it's another thing when you got your woman in your house that you lay next to trying to drag you down. So I'm not sure, I really know what my question is, but I'm not so sure I really believe that this was about the protection of Jada more so than I think Will probably snapped. What do you think, Miss Franklin?
When I looked at the expression on her face, it went kind of from a smile to kind of a sad look. I don't know how much she struggles internally with her condition. I do know I have 2 girlfriends that struggle with that, and it's taken them a long time to get over it. And when you think about women in general, if for a woman, if she gets dressed up, I don't care how good she looks, how much her outfits cost, if her hair ain't right, she'll never feel good, okay? That's just how we are as women. So I could see some of the disappointment in her face a little bit. She shared her experience, but I'm not sure she was ready for it to become a joke. And then maybe when Will looked over at her and he saw the expression on her face, he felt the need to do something. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I saw that too.
You saw that too?
From the perspective of wanting to always defend your wife, I can't, object to that at all. But I just, the whole thing.
I say defend. I don't have a problem with defending. Say, for example, you marry into a family and folks don't like your wife, right? And you're at a family gathering and some of them are being disrespectful. I would expect my husband to say, hey, this is my wife. Y'all got to respect my wife. And then if they don't, we're going to leave the gathering. But I definitely don't want him to get into a fist fight.
Good point. First of all, I agree with you totally, TJ. Jada's super out of pocket on this. Half the stuff she talk about ain't even none of our business. Sometimes I wonder why people even entertain this stuff. The first thing to come to my mind when I hear her talk about Will Smith is mental trauma. Just mental trauma. It's like we don't talk about enough of that in the black community anyway. Our mental state. First of all, Will, he wasn't mentally there that night. Because yes, TJ, he didn't need to slap him for that. It wasn't a time to defend his wife. I know I said before that I appreciate the image, but it wasn't a time to defend his wife. Jada is not acting like a wife. She's running her mouth too much. Her ratings ain't that tight for her to be telling all her business. I mean, and nobody truly cares because there's stuff going on in our families that, okay, wow, Jada, you got sex problems. You stay with somebody for 25 years, you ain't fucking no more. Excuse me, I don't know if we can cut. But you ain't fucking. Everybody got sex problems with, but you still
After
love them.
25 years, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. After 25 years, you ain't laying it down. I don't
Right.
care if you saying you are, you lying like a mug. I mean, I got some swamp land I'm gonna sell to you. But the point is, sex is not about nobody's business. It's companionship. It's an image. Like Ms. Franklin, you touched on it before. Um, we got an image with Will Smith. We got an image with Jada. They the kings and queens. That's like Denzel Washington and his wife. You don't know. They've been together forever. They've been together since the 50s. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying? They have an image. You trying to tell me Denzel Washington don't have problems with his wife? You know how we fight at home. Black folks, we get into it. But it ain't nobody's business. You see what I'm saying? And then after she embarrassed herself and had that affair with Alcina, she's trying to cover up her tracks and try to say it was an entanglement that she no you mess with your son's friend. That's foul. You should never. And personally, I felt like we all know that we ain't never dealt with that kind of money that they dealing with. We ain't never
No.
been on that image that they dealt with. That they own.
I think when I saw earlier today, Will is worth 365 million. Jada's worth somewhere around 20.
A nickel compared to what he got. And Will's all over the earth. I mean, he ain't at the crib. He all over the earth. So you know there's some things going on. Some trainers or something going on. We expect that from our stars. But we expect our stars to nurture our image.
Yeah.
We don't look at Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Raw and uncut as they come. But when it comes to his wife and their image as a couple, people admire their marriage and how long they've been married.
Yeah. I just think this is just a sad all the way around. One, because we look at Will and Jada, especially from the hip hop genre. Will and Jada, I mean, they're like what you struggle to be, you know.
Exactly.
But then you got this. But then Jada, hit a midlife crisis, and all of a sudden she want to, my question is, I want to know what the heck did Will Smith do to her to piss her off like that, to make her want to drag all of his business up there like that.
Man, Tavares, I truly want, like what I was hitting on. Once you get to that level, once you find a Will Smith, there is no higher.
No.
It's only white boys after that. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no higher.
You said only white boys.
Right. Suppress your inner hood rat. Suppress your inner hood rat. You know what I'm saying?
You need to go forward or backwards, right?
She's only going down. There's no up after that. Come on now. We got all these little women, young women, these young ladies, I should say, looking up to her, looking up to them. Like it or not, they looking up to you. Will Smith is the top. If I walk in the room and I think I'm fly, Will Smith walk in, I ain't getting nothing. You see what I'm saying? I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting opportunities, hellos, highs, or nothing. So what is her problem? She got to suppress her inner hood rat. Everybody got a little bit of hood rat in them. She need to suppress it. We don't need to know her personal business. We know that there's things and conflicts going on in their life, but you too high. You too high up there. You in the stratosphere right now. You on the next level.
It's unrealistic. You're right, and it's unrealistic to think that just because they're Jada and Will or Denzel and his wife, or whomever, that they don't have some personal challenges. Come on, I mean,
come on now.
Yeah.
Let you hit the lottery, see if y'all don't have problems. Let you get a little extra $1,000 in the house, see if the whole house don't flip upside down. We talking about $500,000 here.
Right.
So you know there's some stuff going on. And then they trying to raise their kids and keep their careers going and everything. We expect a little drama. We'll expect a little cliches and a little crazy stuff going on. But the stuff she doing is disrespectful.
It's beyond disrespect. I'm more concerned about the fact of the matter is, if Will throw Jada in there. Jada, they're supposed to be the best representation of us, and he did this. What other opportunities are we going to have now? If because what's one of the biggest stereotypes about black men were violent,
aggression, violent, but you know they're.
aggressive,
Yep.
violent, out of control, uncouth. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
can keep going on and on and on and
Right.
on. And
Yep.
what he did was violent, aggressive, uncouth, unsophisticated.
Right.
It was all of those things. And so we out here scraping and scratching in 2022 for basic, you know what I mean, opportunity still. And then we got
Right.
the best of us out here. Not, and here's the thing, I know it's not fair. You know, anybody else, look at Robert Downey Jr. You know, his career. This man was, you know, the drags of Hollywood for the longest time. Now he Iron Man. You know,
Right.
he was able to fall off the rail. But there's, you know, there is a double standard. We don't have the luxury of doing what he did and
Not
coming
at
back
all.
from that. We don't have that luxury, and a lot of times we can forget about that too. Like we get in, and so I'm victim of this. I get into the pattern of, well, why can't they get away with it and I can't? Well, because I can't.
You can't.
Because I can't. You know what I mean? And that's just, it's not fair. But when has anything related to us in the history of this country been fair? And we have to be constantly vigilant and mindful.
So tell me this, TJ, do you think the Academy is going to address it because they feel the need to address it because it was wrong, or do you think they're going to address it because they feel pressure to address it?
Will Smith is a $1 billion walking ATM for Hollywood. I think the impact on Will be negligible. They've already come out and made a statement, a very general, you know, we don't condone and all this, that, and the third. But I think going forward, while I don't believe it'll be 30 years, it might be 130 years before we see another black president, but I don't think it'll be that long before we see another host or anything like that. I mean, Chris Rock has hosted the Oscars. What? This is 7th, 8th, or 9th time or something like that, hosting the Oscars. You know, and let me tell you something. Had that been anybody else other than Chris Rock,
right?
My goodness, you know how that. If that, let's just say DL was hosting it, DL Hughley.
DL would have fought.
Just about anybody else would have. And then what's that white boy name that got that talk show at night? With the fat face.
Oh, that British guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if his name.
Not Ricky Gervais is with the other one.
Gervais would have fought.
No. My point is that what was that? What's that guy's name? He has his talk show, and Ricky Gervais. I'm talking about him. Ricky Gervais for the last several years have been the host of the Oscars, and he's been dragging people left and right. You know what I mean? Like being brutal with his comedy. What if Ricky Gervais was the host and he said what he said? You think Will Smith would have got up on the stage and slapped that white man like that?
I think he would have got tackled by security. I don't think he would have made it. Somebody would throw something at him. If he would, they didn't let Kanye West come because his mental state right now. So
yes. Did you see my comment in the chat? I said that. I said how ironic to keep Kanye away, but Will clown. They were. Right. And so let's think about that for a moment. I personally, from a woman's standpoint, I think Kanye is being really ridiculous, okay? And in the normal world, a woman like myself would be running trying to get a restraining order because I think my ex-husband lost his mind, right? And so we can talk about Kanye, we can say he needs help, but when you look at a situation like this, do you think that now Will need some type of therapy? Does he need to, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Well, something triggered yesterday, and it just wasn't.
In my opinion, and I'm not no professional therapist or nothing like that, and I'm not gonna ever claim to be, but just as a man, just what he's had to endure, the public humiliation. I just think, like I said, the joke wasn't. It was a really benign joke. It wasn't even nowhere near offensive. I just think the man I just think he just had it. And the fact of the matter is, Jada was sitting right next to him, and when he got up, she could have grabbed him. She did nothing.
Yeah.
She wanted to see if he could act like Tupac.
Right. Shoot, the joke.
She probably low key was. Never mind. I was gonna say something.
Okay, TJ, my whole thing is, even my kids knew this about me. I don't like public scenes. I don't like public embarrassment. So I probably would have said, no, baby, just sit down. We'll deal with this after the show, because whatever he did is still a reflection of her. You know, and so I wouldn't want all the attention drawn. Look at us now having this conversation about Jada and her lifestyle and things she's been doing. So this drew a whole lot of attention, negative attention, even to her.
Well, that mental pain, man, that black love, though. You know how we love. We love hard.
We love crazy.
Man, we love hard. We love crazy. We insane with it. This woman done cheated on him. This woman done talked about his performance in the bed, but she ain't said nothing about his money, though. She can't say nothing about his money. You heard? I mean, now, but he loves her. I give him credit.
Oh, that's not in doubt.
He loves her. Now, this is the tie-in, though. He loves her, right?
Okay.
To a point that she doing all this stuff, and he keeps her, right? Now it's like you go to your small town and you date the cheerleader that just was banging everybody, right? But you love her and you keep her. You see what I'm saying? And you trying to keep your relationship together. You and your 12 other different color kids, and you're sitting at the homecoming, and the football player go up there and he crack a joke on your wife. You've been putting up with trying to hold this stuff in for all this time, and then it's true because you holding this family together, and she ain't trying to play her role and grab your hand when you stand up. She was out of pocket for not stopping him because she's not holding herself accountable for all the shit she done. So if he's gonna defend her, that's mental damage for him fighting so long to be heard. And he comes up and he say something about the joke was weak. But then no more stuff about my wife. You see what I'm saying? Nothing else about my wife. I saw it on his face.
Yeah, because he's tired. He don't care what it is. He don't care what it is. Right. Yeah. It's just now yesterday was his day to tell the world, y'all need to shut up and stop talking about my wife. Period.
That's what it was. That was a mental black love explosion.
Yep.
And he just got finished with a movie. I'm sorry for over talking. Go ahead.
That's okay. Somebody at work was like, you know better not to act up in front of these white folks. That's what somebody at work said.
Well, first of all, white folks need to chill. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole white culture is nothing but violence and suppression.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just put it out there. So white people really need to stop acting like, oh, I've never seen such things. How did we gain this country? You know what I'm saying? I mean, so we can. I mean, personally, I think we can stop with what Will Smith was out of pocket and showing violence, because this whole country is about violence.
Right.
The way this country is managed is about violence. How it was found was about violence. Let's talk about the real issue. Why did this man get out his seat on a big stage and slap the crap out of somebody?
More than a big stage, in front of the country, in front of America.
Because everybody tunes in, right? Those that are interested.
I just really hate that he did it to another black man. I mean, that made my whole insides cringe.
It's bad, but then it's good. It's bad, but then it's good, because if it was Ricky Gervais, whatever guy you talking about, I don't think it's Gervais, because Gervais is a British. He's British, but he's old British. If he went up and slapped the white man, like I said before, they over punish us. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then it been the same cliche that we are established as the dominant whatever. It's undertone. Nobody talks about it. It's undertone. He slapped a black man.
You know what? One TikTok user said, Facebook is always shutting down videos or comments that you make that portray violence, but they've let this video
all day long,
right?
Purpose.
Right, because guess what? Yep, it's a violent act from one black man towards another. Because if your position is we don't promote violence, we got a strict policy where if you can't even comment and say anything that comes across as being violent, they'll put you in Facebook jail. But they've let this go all day, all day.
It went. I didn't know, Tavares, TJ, that there was an all black staff. But once I think about it, all that porcelain that was in there, all that glass and
Yeah.
sofas and stuff,
The
I
black
thought
and the
I saw
gold.
I thought I saw an elephant. I thought I saw the giraffe in the corner. I
Yeah.
mean, some bees in the back. Now I see that. See, it's all a setup. It's like what you like you said, Miss Franklin. They're gonna use that for energy. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I was like, the Oscars kind of small this year. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
mean, the stage was little tiny. People was coming out scooting out the back.
Well, you know what? They're still trying to ease their way back out of this pandemic, which we'll talk about it off the air because you guys are working in the hospital, so
Yeah.
Right. You can't talk
But
about that.
here's something that I'm very glad about too. Normally, when a black man gets handled the way Chris Rock got handled, meaning open-handed slap from another man, people attack that guy's manhood for not doing nothing, but they're not doing that with Chris Rock. Chris Rock is being praised for keeping his composure, and I think I don't want that to go by without us recognizing that that was handled appropriately by him as well. Because normally in the hood, you get slapped like that, you expect to pick up a brick and bust somebody in the head with it. But Chris Rock showed, and he tried to joke his way and laugh his way through that very strange, because I think he was more shocked than us doing it because it happened to him. But I'm glad they're not trying to drag his manhood down because he did not react to Will, And I think on a level we are under, not that Will's is getting a pass. I just think we all understand what happened with him to a degree. Even though he hasn't come out verbally said that this was the issue with him, but we can surmise that over the last few years, especially this past year, of what he's had to publicly endure, we all kind of understand that this probably was going to happen at some point. We just didn't think it was going to happen like this.
I feel a little disappointed though that Denzel and Samuel L. Jackson rushed, to offer some love for Will. I'm assuming they all feel like they're probably on the same level, and I'm hoping that Chris will get some public support too. He actually, when you look at it, the bottom line is he was a victim.
Right. I heard somewhere, and I don't know how true it is, that wasn't even Chris Rock's joke.
Oh wow!
That it was wrote by someone else. Now that's just hearsay. With
sure.
You read a TikTok post and
right.
The point to piggyback off what you said is that Chris Rock, I felt like he done a good job of composing himself. It was bad enough he got slapped. I don't think his manhood was in question for that.
No.
I don't think his manhood was in question for it because, you can always catch him backstage. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it wouldn't have been a fair fight. I mean, Will would have mopped him. He got like 100 pounds on him. But then backstage...
At least 100. And then Will was 6'2"?
He's 6'2".
6'3", and Chris Rock 5'10",
right?
5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, but we know what it's like to be professionals. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think he went into that mode. Like, this is a show. We got to keep it going. He instantly gained his composure, and he did better than I probably could have ever done. He did good.
He did really good. I didn't think his manhood was questioned at all. Okay. Because he was doing his job. You see what I'm saying? He's trying to do his job. Will had a mental breakdown. Samuel L. Jackson won an award that night, and it wasn't shown because of all this.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, Will Smith's actions just tarnished the night for other African Americans in some way. Is that too far of a reach to say that? I don't know.
I don't know because it's Will Smith. It's Will Smith. No.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like the fact that it played into what the greater society, how the greater society views our black men to begin with, and that we're violent and aggressive, even though we know we're not the only people who out here are violent. We actually, in my future shows, we're actually in some of my future shows, we're going to be talking about the data. We're actually one of the least violent groups of people on the planet, but in this country, but everything is about image, perception, and stuff like that, which is what my show is going to be geared towards, even though we're going to be talking about personal responsibility, primarily relationships, interacting with one another, but we're going to be coming at it from the perspective of our image and how we got here. But I think we talked about this. Just wanted to talk about it amongst a couple friends because, man, going back and forth over Facebook with it, and and then also gave me an opportunity to test out the platform a little bit while I start to ramp up the podcast and what we're going to be about. I thought this was a good, what they call it, a beta test show, beta show. We're not calling Will a beta male. Well, maybe. No, I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. Is it beta male, or I don't know, the way he let his woman drag him. I don't know.
Right.
But David, Mr. Freeman, Mint, Ms. Franklin, thank you guys for having me out with
Thank you.
Just hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and hit outro in the broadcast, and then we'll talk offline. Hold on a minute. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's chop it up, man. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, may I interject? It's about time for communal reconnect. Power of the we in some type of context. Working on the us so we can hit up what's next. It's that grown brother, grown sister type of flex. More like soul check, not just collecting checks. Fact, not feelings is what we got on deck. Take the high road, so this here is high tech. Getting to the real, very thing that we hitting on. Pull up or sit down, tell me what you sipping on. Reclaiming kinghood, that is what we getting on. Real headlines is what we spitting on. So, hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation.